Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Outdoor Yoga, Kathleen Coombs Yoga. And today, all of my students are joining us on Zoom. I'm very happy that you are all here this morning. And it's so much cooler than it was last Saturday when we did yoga out here. So it's too bad you're all not here because it's really fantastic weather. So today we're going to be focusing on the root chakra, Muladhara. And I am reading today out of this book because we are kicking off our whole class series on the chakras. And this is the Essential Chakra Meditation. And so near the end of our routine today, as you are settling down into Shavasana, we are going to read about the root chakra. So stay tuned for a little bit of education near the end of the routine. Today, you're going to find that we are doing a lot of poses that are a combination of grounding and stimulating the root chakra. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and begin our yoga this morning. Go ahead and find your comfortable seated position, Sukhasana. If you want, you can sit up on a bolster such as I am. So if you look at my bolster that I'm sitting on, you can see that it really allows me to sit nice and tall and straight, allows me to have my shoulders back and over my hips, and allows my heart center to shine up towards the sky. So I invite you, if you find it difficult, first thing, starting off on a new routine, if you find it difficult to sit all the way down on your mat and maintain a nice straight spine, I invite you to find something to sit up on. It can be a folded blanket, a bolster, a block, anything that makes the seating easier. And what we are aiming for is this pelvic bowl, that it shifts down a little bit. And when it shifts down, it allows us to just pull our whole upper body back in space so that it is sitting nicely over our hips. So sitting in this position, let's begin to get into the breath. And let's take this Gaia Mudra, which is our index finger connected to our thumb. This stimulates the root chakra and helps us ground and find peace. So go ahead and take that hand mudra, placing it on top of your legs, pulling your elbows close to the body, pulling your shoulders back and down, and begin to inhale, expanding and contracting the belly. Inhaling and exhaling through your nose. And as you inhale, begin to expand the belly and your lower and middle ribs. And then exhale. On your next inhale, expand your belly, your ribs, and your chest. Exhaling. Imagine your breath growing from the bottom of your spine all the way to the crown of your head on your next breath. And exhale. Let's inhale again together. And exhale all the way down. Let's go ahead and start to begin to link our breath with our movement. So on the inhale, bring your hands overhead. And exhale them out and down. Inhale your hands out and overhead. And then exhale them out and down. Inhale out and overhead. And then exhale your hands down. If you are still sitting on a bolster or a block, I invite you to remove it, as I'm going to right now, because we're going to begin moving into some opening up of the body And it's probably easier to do that if you're flat on the floor at that point. Inhale your hands overhead. And then exhale, lean forward, leaning as far as you can. And then when you have leaned as far as you can, place your fingers on the floor. Inhale. And then on your exhale, begin to walk your hands forward, keeping your hips firmly rooted to the ground. Inhale. Exhale, walking your hands out as far as you find you're able to. Inhale. And then exhale one more time, allowing your heart center to draw towards the floor. Inhale, walk your hands back. Take your right foot, if it's in front or your left, and place it behind your other foot close to the inside of your leg. So just changing the orientation of your feet, inhaling your hands up, and then exhale forward. Allow your hands to drop to the floor. Inhale, and then exhale, walk your hands forward. Inhale. And then exhale, walking your hands forward. One more inhale. And then exhale, walk them forward again. Inhale, walking your hands back, placing your left hand outside of your left hip and drawing your hand out to the side and overhead alongside your right ear. First opening of the right side body. You can draw your crown of your head in the same direction as your hands. One continuous line from your hip that is tucked down on the right side all the way to your wrist. And then using your spiral to slightly spiral your chest open and up, pulling your right shoulder back. Inhale. And then exhale, bring that right hand down and bring your left hand out and up alongside your ear. Inhaling. Exhaling, drawing your heart center up to the sky by rotating your left shoulder back. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. And then exhale, place your hand on the floor. And let's engage in a very mild spinal twist to start out a little bit. Placing your right hand on your left knee. Placing your left hand behind you as you sit up very tall and straight and start to rotate your entire body to the left. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, go ahead and change that, placing your right hand behind your right hip, put your left hand on your left knee, on your right knee. Inhale, drawing the crown of your head high up to the sky. And then exhale, rotate your body to the right. Inhale. Exhale, drawing your body to the right. One more inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and return to neutral. Go ahead and find your way to your hands and your knees. We're going to start to use some cow-cat poses to open up the spine. Inhale your hips up, heart center forward and up, shoulders drawn down the spine into cat. And then exhale into cow, drawing your spine up towards the sky. Dropping the belly, pulling your hips up, drawing your shoulder blades down your back, opening up into cow, and then exhale into cat. Go ahead and do a couple of those on your own, inhaling up on the cow and exhaling on the cat. Let's do one more inhale together. And then exhale into a neutral spine. Go ahead and move up to the top of your mat. And let's start off first in Tadasana, feet kind of wide apart because we're going to drop down into Muladhara in a moment here. Inhale your hands up to the sky. Exhale, hands out and down, growing the spine long. Inhale, hands out and up. Exhale, out and down. One more inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and swan dive forward, slightly bending your knees. This is your first forward fold of the day. When you arrive at the bottom, go ahead and drop the crown. Inhale into a flat spine, placing your hands against your shins or your thighs. Exhale, fold down. Inhale into a flat spine. Exhale, fold down again. And then inhale into a flat spine. Let's drop into that yogic squat or Muladhara. So when we are in Muladhara, if you want, you can lift up your heels. You can rest them on a blanket if you want. You can even place a block underneath your seat if you find that it's difficult to maintain this pose. But I'm pretty lucky. I have pretty open hips here, so I'm able to, oh, motorcycle just went by. I'm able to have my heels all the way down on the ground. And what you want to do is actually move your weight, if you can, back into your heels. Move your heart center up to the sky and use your elbows anchored against the inside of your knees to start to move your legs a little bit apart, opening up your hips. As you are in prayer pose in this, in prayer mudra, as you push your hands together more and pull your heart center back more, it actually helps open up the hips more. So just stay here for a few breath cycles in Muladhara. And while you're in this pose, I want you to imagine that you have a golden cord or a root attached to your tail, to your bottom, to the root of your spine. And that root draws you to the earth. Imagine this continuous connection to the earth. Your feet are your roots. This cord from the bottom of your spine is a root, and it's anchoring you. It's very important that we are anchored so that we can extend. Very nice. Let's go ahead and place our hands on the floor. Raise our hips high up into the air as we move back into a forward fold, wide-legged. And then drop back down into Muladhara, back up into prayer mudra. Exhale, drop our hands to the floor, raise our hips up high. And then on the inhale, drop to prayer mudra. Exhale, place our hands on the floor again, rising our hips up high into the air, trying to have your sits bones rise up into the air. And then go ahead and drop back down into Muladhara again. Place our left hand in the center of our mat. Rise our right hand up to the sky, creating a beautiful twist, pushing our knee against the inside, or elbow against the inside of our left thigh as we twist open. Breathing with ease, in and out evenly. One more inhale. And then exhale, place your right hand in the center of the mat, pressing against the inside of your thigh, your right thigh with your right elbow. Raise your left arm up into the air as you take that twist. Let's take another breath together. And then exhale, place that back down on the floor. Move back into the prayer mudra, extending this Muladhara as much as you can. And since we are just opening up for the day, if it's available to you, I'm going to invite you to join me in a bind in this twist. Now, if you want to continue to twist with one hand up in the air, you may continue to do so. So to move into a bind, go ahead and place your elbow as far down on your leg as you can get it, and take your left hand and kind of wrap it underneath and sort of pat the outside of your left hip. Take your right hand, bring it around to meet up with that left hand. And then once you arrive, grab your hands together. My fingers are now clasped. And go ahead and open up, turning to the right, pulling your right shoulder back, moving your weight back into your heels. And just breathe into that. Ask yourself, where does your breath get stuck? What do you need to do to open up that energy channel to allow your breath to flow freely? Let's take one more breath together. Exhale, gently unravel. Place your right hand on the ground. Anchor your right shoulder against the inside of your right knee. Take your right hand, pat your right hip. Take your left hand around to meet up with your right hand. Once your fingers are clasped in the back, go ahead and rise up, leaning back on your heels, drawing your left shoulder back in space. Opening up your left hip as much as you can along with your right, creating balance in this pose. And again, continue to breathe deeply and evenly as you go up and down your spine with your breath. Ask yourself, where do you feel any sense of being stuck? And what do you think you need to do to open up that channel? One more collective breath together. And then exhale, unravel gently. Place your hands together again in Muladhara and sit back and enjoy, or Prayam Mudra rather. Sit back and enjoy this Muladhara, this yogic squat. Now that you've opened up a little more, your hips might feel really, really good. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, place your hands on the floor. Go ahead and rise your hips up. Go ahead and bring your feet a little bit closer together. Inhale into a flat spine. Exhale down. Inhale, reverse swan dive all the way up to the top. And then exhale back down into prayer mudra, right at the heart center. Inhale. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, your hands up. And exhale, swan dive forward. Hands to the floor, drop the crown. Inhale into a flat spine. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Move back into our first plank of the day. As you are in plank, moving your heart center forward as you're pulling your heels backwards, pulling your belly button in against your spine. Go ahead and breathe with calmly and evenly. 5 breaths. Drawing your shoulder blades together on the spine as much as you can. One more inhale. And then exhale, lower down, pulling your elbows into the ribs, lowering all the way to the ground. Place your elbows underneath your shoulder blades, or your shoulders, I'm sorry. Pulling your shoulder blades together and down on your spine as you pull your heart center forward. Close your eyes for a moment. Assess what you might be seeing. What kinds of visions might be coming across. Believe it or not, right now I'm seeing a lot of red. consistent with the color of this chakra. It could be because the sun is out and the bright sunlight is leaving an imprint on my eyeballs. Continue to pull your heart center forward as you pull your shoulder blades down on your spine, engaging all of those muscles of the spine. Inhale. And then exhale, let's rise up. Keep our hands in the same position and just push up. So your hands are out in front of you at a diagonal. They are straight. You are just increasing that arch of your back a little bit, opening up the whole front of your body. Hips are firmly anchored onto the floor. One more inhale. Exhale, lower your elbows down. Place your hands underneath your elbows and move back into Child's Pose. Child's Pose is a solidly grounding pose. It is a pose to remind us that we are safe, that it's okay to return inward. It's a pose in which we reconnect with our breath. Bring our heart rate down and find our sense of security in our current situation. Always feel free to return back to Child's Pose if that is what you need. One more inhale in Child's Pose. And then exhale, tuck your toes and move back into your first downward facing dog of the day. So your first downward dog of the day, you might want your legs to be bent as you move your hips backwards in space, pulling your heart center down in between your shoulder blades, pulling your shoulder blades together on the mat, drawing your heart center towards the floor. Start to pedal your feet. One heel to the floor, lifting the other, alternating back and forth, breathing all the while. And while you're doing this, just keep on moving your hips back in space. And then find stillness for one breath. Exhaling. And then go ahead and take as many steps as you need to walk up to the front of the mat. Feet in between the hands. Inhale to a flat spine. Exhale down. Bend your knees deeply as you roll all the way up to a standing position. When you arrive at the top, your chin is still on your chest. Inhale your shoulders up and back down on your spine as you lift up your head. Heart center shining towards the sky. Inhale your hands up. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale into a flat spine. Exhale, hands down. Moving back into plank again. Let's take a side plank. Pivoting over to your right leg. Place your left hand on your left hip. Lifting up out of this pose using the strength of your right arm. Pulling your shoulder away from your right ear. Lift your right hand up into the sky. Continue pushing your hips up into the sky to make this a very strong side plank. If you're feeling adventurous, and I'm on a hill a little bit, you can go ahead and raise up your left leg to strengthen the pose. One more inhale together. And then exhale, place your left hand on the floor. With control, pivot over to your left foot, to the outside edge of your left foot. Drawing your right hand to your right hip. Pulling your heart center up towards the sky as you draw your right shoulder back. Using the strength of your left hand, pushing away from the mat, keeping your shoulder away from your left ear. Bring your hand up into the sky. Continue to push your hips up into the air. And if you feel it's in you, go ahead and raise up your right leg. I didn't do it for long. My left side is not as strong as my right. One more inhale. Exhale. Bring your right hand down to the floor. Inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale into upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. Go ahead and take 5 breaths to reconnect with your breath. Breathing at your own pace. One more collective breath together. Exhale fully. Inhale your right leg up to hip height and then higher if you choose to go. And if you want, you can begin to draw your right heel towards your buttocks and open up your hips. Try to keep your shoulders as squared off as possible. So my right hip is going towards the sky, my heel towards my left buttock. Just opening everything up. Inhale, exhale. One more inhale, exhale, return your hips to a neutral position, squared off, and then draw your right knee towards your nose as you bring your right foot in between your hands. We are now in a runner's lunge. And I want you to focus right now on drawing your right hip back as you bring your left hip forward, or pulling the outside edges of your hips together to square them off and create that solid base at the root of your spine. Creating that root lock, the Mula Bandha. And go ahead and take note of what that feels like, because that is the sensation you should be in every time we move into poses like this. Very nice. Inhale, exhale. Draw your belly button into the spine. Inhale, exhale. Place your hands on the floor, move back into downward facing dog again. On the inhale, draw your left leg up as high as you would like to go. And start to bend that knee, pulling your heel towards your hip. And then if you want, open up the hips, but keep your shoulders square. So drawing your knee up towards the sky, opening your right hip so that your right hip bone is facing towards the sky. One more inhale. Exhale, return to neutral, extend your leg. And then bring your knee to nose as you bring your left foot through in between your hands. Again, draw your left hip back as you draw your right hip forward. Or imagine you've got force pressing on the outside edges of each of your hips, creating that root lock, that Mula Bandha. Draw your belly button into the spine. And just focus on creating that lock, creating that root, that strength, that foundation. Very nice. One more inhale. Exhale, place your hands flat on the floor, move back into downward facing dog again. Go ahead and breathe 5 times. And while you're in downward facing dog, really focus on pushing your hips back in space, allowing your heart center to shine towards the center of the mat. Drawing your ears, your shoulders away from your ears. One more inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bring your right leg to hip height. Exhale, bring it to the nose, your knee to nose. Inhale, bring your leg back. Exhale, right knee to right elbow. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, right knee to left elbow. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, knee to nose. Lift up your belly button as you bring your right foot all the way through. Having created that root lock before, go ahead and rise up into our first Anjanasana of the day. Your left leg is behind you, strong and straight. Your belly button is pulled up against the spine. Your shoulder blades are pulled down your back, away from your ears. Bend your right leg deeply. Sink those hips low. Inhale, reach your hands up high as you sink your hips even lower. One more inhale. Exhale, drop your hands to the ground. Move back again into downward facing dog. Take one cleansing breath. Exhale. Bring your left leg up to hip height. Exhale, bring knee to nose. Inhale, back up. Exhale, bring left knee to left elbow. Inhale, back up. Exhale, bring your left knee to your right elbow. Inhale, back up. Exhale, knee to nose. Pull the belly button into the spine as you bring your left foot through. Setting up again, engage your root lock as you rise your hands up. Your right leg behind you, strong and straight. Sink those hips by bending your left knee deeply. Pulling your shoulder blades together and down your spine. Stretching your hands out high above you as you sink your hips. Exhale, drop your hands back down. Move back into downward facing dog. Let's go ahead and rise our right leg up. Exhale, bring knee to nose, pulling the belly button up against the spine as you bring your right foot forward. Again, we are in that lunge. Take your left hand in the inside of your right foot and keeping your hips straight and in space where they are. Go ahead and rotate to the right, rising your right hand up. An easy twist. That should feel good on the outside of your right hip. And then go ahead, place your right hand on the floor, place your left foot, pivot your toes down, placing your left heel on the floor as we open up into Warrior Two. In Warrior Two, pulling our belly button up against the spine as we push our hips slightly forward in the direction of the front of our body. Shoulder blades together on the spine as we look out over our right hand. Inhale into Reverse Warrior. In your Reverse Warrior, keep your hips in the same position, nice and low, as you reach your hand high to the sky. Opening up your heart center. Inhale, reach your hand. And then exhale. Either place your right forearm on your right knee, or you can go all the way down to the floor as we set up for extended side angle initially. You can have your hand up high to the sky, bending your right knee deeply to sink your hips low. Then bring your left arm alongside your left ear. A continuous line from your left ankle all the way to your left wrist. And then start to open up your heart center. The more you drop your hips, the more space you leave to have this rotation. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, bring your hands forward, down in a circle, back up into Warrior Two. Inhale, exhale, cartwheel your hands down on either side of your right foot, bringing your right foot back in space. Move back into downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, bring your left leg up. Exhale, pulling knee to nose, pulling belly button up against the spine. Bring your left foot all the way forward. So now we are set up again in that lunge. Place your right hand on the inside of your left foot and then twist, easy open, twist while we're in a lunge. Pull your hips a little bit to your right so that they are squared off. And enjoy that stretch along the outside of your left hip. One more inhale. Exhale, drop your left hand to the floor, pivoting your right heel to the floor as we open up into Warrior Two. Pulling your belly button up against the spine, dropping your hips, bending that left knee deeply, pulling your shoulder blades together on the spine as you look out over your left hand. One more inhale, and then exhale, reverse that to Peaceful Warrior. Left arm is up in the sky, right arm is resting on your right leg. A side body stretch all along your left side body. One more inhale. And then exhale, let's set up for extended side angle. You may place your left forearm on your left knee, or you may drop your hand all the way to the floor on the inside of your left leg. Placing your right hand on your right hip to start, drawing your right shoulder back, lifting your hand up in space, dropping those hips by bending your left knee more deeply. Pull your right hand alongside your right ear if that's available to you, and continue to rotate your right shoulder back. One more inhale. And then exhale, bringing your right hand forward and down in a circle as you rise up into Warrior Two. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down, moving back into downward facing dog. Go ahead and enjoy that dog. Go ahead and pedal out your legs if that feels good to you. And go ahead and find stillness and breathe. Go ahead and raise your right hip up, or right foot up to hip height. Exhale, bringing knee to nose, drawing your belly button to your spine as you bring your right foot forward. Cartwheel your hands open into Warrior Two again. Go ahead and straighten out your right leg. We're going to go into a triangle series. Reverse that just as you had in Peaceful Warrior, but we're going to do that now with a straight leg. Go ahead and concentrate on pulling your belly button in against your spine as you tilt your tailbone towards the ground. Inhale, reach your hand high. And then on the exhale, start to move your body in the direction of your right toes, allowing your right hand to descend down to the ground and your left hand to go to the sky. And when you've arrived, focus on drawing your left shoulder back, rotating your body to the left, moving your entire body back in space against that imaginary wall behind you. And as you're breathing in this pose, continuing to anchor your left hip down, your tailbone down towards the earth, drawing your crown of your head in the same direction as your front foot. One more inhale. Go ahead and bend your right leg deeply as we set up for a bind. Take your right arm, place it on the inside of your right knee. So my right shoulder is basically at the height of my right knee as I draw my hands up underneath my right thigh. Taking my left hand back to join my right hand. Now my hands are bound and we start to open up. Again, anchoring our tailbone towards the floor, bending our right knee even more deeply as we draw our left shoulder back. If you want to straighten out your leg and do bound triangle, you can work towards straightening out your right leg. One more inhale. Exhale, bend that leg again. Unfurl from your bind gently as you put your right hand on the floor. Bring your left hand towards the sky. Then go ahead and rise up into warrior two. Inhale. And then exhale, cartwheel your hands down on either side of your right foot. Go back into downward facing dog. You might feel a significant stretch now in that leg. That's good. This is our Power Saturday class. Inhale, bring your left leg up. Exhale, knee to nose, belly button to spine as you draw your left leg all the way through. Opening up into warrior two. Straighten out that left leg. And again, draw up your belly button in against the spine, tilting your tailbone towards the ground. Go ahead and reverse that just as you did in Peaceful Warrior. Inhale, reach your left hand towards the sky. And then on the exhale, go ahead and draw your left hand forward and down as your body descends with it, drawing your right hand towards the sky. You should have arrived at triangle by now with your left hand on the ground, your right hand to the sky. Now, tilt your tailbone towards the earth. Move your entire body back in space, spiraling your heart center towards the sky. Continue to work on drawing your tailbone towards the ground, tacking your right hip towards the ground as you pull your body back into the imaginary wall behind you. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, go ahead and bend that left leg deeply. Take your right elbow on the inside of your right knee, drawing your left hand underneath your thigh and drawing your right hand overhead and back, or over the body and back rather, to grab that right hand. Then start to open your bind by bending your left knee more deeply to sink your hips more and pulling your right shoulder back in space. Moving your whole body back towards that wall behind you. And if you want to, you can begin to work towards straightening out that left leg into bound triangle. Go ahead and bend your left leg deeply. Start to unfurl from your bind, placing your left hand on the floor, right hand overhead, and then go ahead and rise up into warrior two. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down, moving back into downward facing dog. Oh, feel that. You should feel a humongous opening of your hamstrings. Pulling that back in space. One more inhale. And then exhale. Go ahead and drop your knees to the floor. Let's set up for Camel Pose. Go ahead and rise up on your knees. You're standing on your knees. To start off, place your hands on your sacroiliac joints, your fingers pointed down. Pull your shoulder blades back and away from each other. Pulling your elbows together, widening your collarbones. Inhale, exhale. Then on your next inhale, I want you to draw your heart center towards the sky. Just lifting out of your pelvis, out of your hips. And as you do that, you start to curl backwards. Inhale. And then exhale, reverse all of that, pulling your chin to chest, sitting down on your heels as a counter pose. If you want to, you can even lean forward into a little bit of a child's pose. Inhale, rise back up. This time you may continue with that variation, but next I'm going to show you how to use your blocks for this next one. So take your hands up in space, holding onto the blocks, inhaling up. And then on the exhale, place your blocks back by your feet. You can tent your hands if that's easier for you to be higher up on your fingertips. Start to, again, draw your heart center up towards the sky as you push your hips forward, rising out of your pelvis, out of your hips as you curl your back. Curling your upper back, opening up your throat, drawing your shoulders together on your back. And then exhale, go ahead and sit down. And if you want, you can lean forward in child's pose. Go ahead and rise back up on your knees. We're going to do that again, only we're going to draw one of our legs up towards, one of our feet up towards our hips. So I'm going to place my right block to the right. I'm going to go ahead and rise up my chest again on my inhale. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to reach back and grab my left toes. And as I am extending into my camel, I'm going to pull my heart center towards the sky as I pull my left heel towards my left hip. Inhale, unravel from that. Gently lift that foot down if you engage in that. For the sake of balance, I'm going to do both sides. So I've got my left block towards my left foot. I'm going to go ahead and rise my heart center up on the inhale, lifting out of the pelvis. And then I'm going to reach back, grab my right foot as I extend further into this camel. Gently release that. Go ahead and sit back down on your heels. Fold forward into child's pose if you desire. And go ahead and rise up on your knees again. I'm going to put my blocks aside. Rise up. I'm going to go into the fully extended camel pose now. So you can take any of those variations that I showed you. But in camel, the principles are always the same. You're rising up and out of your hips, drawing your heart center up, and then you extend your back. Then you curl your back into that arch, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and raise up my hands, drawing my heart center up to the sky. When I feel I've lifted as much out of my heels as I can, then I reach back as much, or I reach back for my heels. I'm still rising out of my pelvis, pulling my shoulder points together on the spine, pulling my heart center up towards the sky. If you want, you can open up the throat and drop your head back. Inhale, draw your chin to your chest. Exhale. And then inhale, rise up slowly, sitting back on your heels. And then go ahead and take that child's pose. This time, extend out your hands in front. All righty, go ahead and let's rise up into downward facing dog. Extending our hips all the way back in space. Exhale. Dropping your knees a little bit in a bend, and then hop or step forward up to your hands. Inhale into a flat spine. Exhale, forward fold. Drop your hips as we set up for chair. So what you want in your chair pose is for your hips to move back in space, drawing your tailbone towards the ground. Imagine that cord that we talked about. Right now, my torso is laying across my thighs. On the inhale, go ahead and rise up, keeping your hips stationary. The name of the game is control. Sinking your hips low as you draw your hands up high. Let's go ahead and take a twist in this by drawing our hands to heart center in prayer mudra. Inhale. Exhale, twisting by placing your left knee, elbow on the outside of your right knee, pushing your hands together as you draw your right shoulder back, twisting your entire body to the right. Inhale into neutral, drawing hands to heart center. Exhale, bringing your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Hi, Aria. And pulling your left elbow or left shoulder back in space. She's fine. One more inhale. Exhale, drawing your hands to heart center. Inhale your hands overhead. And then exhale to a stand. Bring your hands down. You can go ahead and stand here for a moment and catch your breath. That was a sequence with a lot of demand for strength and control. So something you have to remember in yoga, and in probably most forms of exercise, a lot of times the slower you go, the more difficult it actually is. It demands more of your muscles. And in yoga, you can always reward yourself with a counter pose when you feel like you've really exerted. And always remember that your breath is king. So in yoga, if you cannot breathe, back out a little bit from your pose. Find your edges. Be okay pushing yourself into a bit of a challenge. But if it gets too difficult, it is totally acceptable and encouraged for you to take a step back. Return to the breath. Help your nervous system to calm down a little bit. And remember that this is just one moment in time. What you feel right now, it won't last forever. Inhale. Exhale our hands down. Inhale our hands up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale into a flat spine. Exhale, place our hands on the floor behind us. Draw our right foot back in space, dropping our toes to the floor. Drop our right knee to the floor. Let's focus on a little bit of hip opening just for the pleasure of it. I'm going to show you how to do this with your blocks. So just move your hips forward equally in space, opening up the right front hip, drawing your shoulders back and down. Your chest is up high, shining towards the sky. And just really get into that opening of the hip. And then on your exhale, pull your hips back in space. Let's set up for half Hanumanasana. So you can pitch your toes into the mat, have your heel up. Your right toes are facing the sky. You can place your hands on the ground or leave them on the blocks and start to move your torso towards the center of your left leg. Just really focus on opening up your left hamstring. Just keep pulling it back in space, pulling it, pulling it. And then if you want, you can start to work towards a full Hanumanasana, full splits, which you do by just starting. I've lifted up, okay? So my knee is up in space now. My right knee is towards the floor. Now I'm just gradually moving my right leg back beyond my mat. You can do this against a wall. As you can see, I don't make it to the floor. But what you are aiming for is for your body to be facing forward. And your hips aren't really opening out to the side. You're trying also to keep your hips squared off facing forward. This is something that takes years to develop if you ever develop it. So be kind to the body. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move out of that by inching my left foot back and inching my right knee forward. All righty, go ahead. Place your two hands on either side of your left foot. Lift up out of your knee off the ground. Knee in space, bring your right foot forward. Inhale into a flat spine, exhale down. Inhale, reverse swan dive forward, all the way up to the top. Exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Take your left foot, place it behind you, drop your knee. Take your blocks if you choose, and go ahead and just move your hips forward. And go ahead and open up that left hip flexor. Keep on focusing on both of your hips moving forward equally. So not opening up, not opening your left hip to the left, but drawing your left hip forward as you're drawing your right hip forward. Pulling your shoulder blades back. You can move your blocks back to encourage you to do that. Shining your heart center towards the sky. And then on the exhale, let's move our hips back in space, allowing our right leg to straighten as we peel our right toes off the ground. Toes are facing the sky. You can have your left toes pitched into the mat, your heel up high, and now moving towards that half Hanumanasana, runner's lunge. Drawing your heart center towards the center of your right leg. You might find one side is more open than the other. Honor that, respect that. And accept that. Accept that the body is just this miraculous thing. We all have different presentations of these poses. But what we're really going for is, how do they feel? Are they doing what they're supposed to do? Go ahead and allow your toes, your right toes, to return to the floor. If you want to join me in attempting into a full Hanumanasana, feel free. So I'm going to move my right leg forward as I move my left leg backward. And you see, I'm very far off the ground. I'm not the flexible girl I was as a teenager. But we do our best and we respect our body. All righty, I'm gonna go ahead and inch those back, moving them back together. Woo-hoo. All right, let's go ahead, keep our knees together, separate our feet as we set up to sit down in hero pose. Hero pose is important every time you do yoga to bring synovial fluid into your knees, to open up the ligaments all around the knee joint. Improve the flexibility of that joint so that simple little things like a twist while you're goofing around with your kids doesn't result in major knee surgery, as it did for one of my friends. Knee health is so important. Okay, while you're here, if you want to go ahead and massage all your little toe beans, massage the arches of your feet, squeeze your heels, show a little bit of love to your feet that work so hard for you. Very nice. And if you want to lean forward a little bit to increase that stretch, you may. I always caution people, be careful of your sacroiliac joints when you're down in poses like this. All righty. Let's go ahead and rise up into our hands and knees. And instead of moving back into downward facing dog, we're going to set up for pigeon preparation right from here, just like we did Thursday night. So go ahead and place your right leg. We'll start with our left leg behind us, sorry. Bring your right leg up. If it's parallel to the mat, great. If it's not, mine never is. And then your right knee is on the outside of your right hip. Your left leg is behind you straight. Right now, my toes are facing the floor. You can also flatten out your leg if you want. If your toes are up on the floor, it protects your kneecap a little bit. Some people don't like that pressure on their kneecap, but if you do have pressure on your kneecap, another thing you can do is you can just kind of flex your leg to pull that knee off the floor and then lay it back down, and that will reposition your kneecap. So go ahead and pull your shoulder blades back down on your spine. Draw your heart center up towards the sky as you create a little bit of a curl in your back. And then on your exhale, go ahead and lean over your right leg. Find the position that works best for you. I'm up on my elbows right now. I'm getting a deep hip stretch by being up on my elbows. I can even lower further and place my forehead on the mat. Arms out to the side. Inhale, rise up. And then let's go ahead and change that. So go ahead and sit on your right hip as you bring your left leg around and forward. And however you want to make your way back into pigeon on the other side, I'm just going to kind of lift out of it and pull my right leg back. And then go ahead and walk my left foot to the right as I lay down my left knee to the left side. Setting up for left side. Go ahead and bring your hands back in space, closer to your right foot. Pull your shoulder blades down your spine and back, opening up your heart center towards the sky. And then exhale, go ahead and lay down across your left leg. Starting out first on your elbows, if that's comfortable to you. And then if you want, you can lay all the way down. Inhale, rise up. Go ahead and sit back on your left hip as you bring your right leg around. Let's go ahead and sit back in staff pose. Sitting up nice and tall in your staff pose. Just imagine, just be thinking about the muscles that are involved in this pose. So you're moving your body back in space, which is engaging all of your abdominal muscles and your side muscles. Move your shoulders back and down. And just get into that sensation, because you're going to use that sensation when we go into boat pose. Go ahead and bend your legs, feet on the floor. So now we are setting up for boat pose. We're sitting up nice and tall. You can start off initially with your hands underneath your thighs, feet still on the floor, and go ahead and lean back, keeping those same muscles engaged that we engaged in staff pose, pulling your shoulders back in space, lean back. You may feel shaking, and that's okay. Inhale, and then exhale, pull up and lay over your legs to give those abdominal muscles a break. You can continue with that variation, but the next one I'm going to go into is lifting my legs, lifting my hands so that both are parallel to the floor. So inhale, and then exhale, move back into boat pose with your shins parallel to the ground, your hands parallel to the ground. Moving your shoulder blades back on your spine engages more of the muscles. Breathing with control. One more inhale, and then exhale. Drop your legs to the floor, fold over your legs. In our final version of Shavasana, I'm going to go into the fully extended version. It's a little bit hinky here on this crooked surface, but I'm gonna do it for y'all. So inhale, your spine long. And then exhale, lean back, arms parallel to the floor, legs fully extended. If you want to join me in this, you can place your hands together and start to alternate sides of the legs. Moving your hands back and forth over your thighs. That's pretty challenging here on this hill. One more round of that. Grab your hands behind your legs and drop your feet to the ground. Lay over your legs. Ah! Okay, let's go ahead and lay back. We're not doing Shavasana just yet. We have a little bit more ab work that I want to help you out with here today. So go ahead and place your feet flat, your legs flat on the floor. Draw your shoulder blades together a little bit at the base of your spine. I'm laying on a pine needle. Hold on a minute. Yoga outside. One with nature. Okay. So place your hands palms down on the floor. To the degree that you're able, take both of your legs, zip them up together, and then using the strength of your abdominal muscles, go ahead and slowly bring your legs up so that they are facing the ceiling. And then go ahead and lower them down. Rise them up. You can have bent legs if that works for you. Drop them down slowly. Rise them up. Drop one more time. Rise your legs up. Go ahead and draw your knees into the chest. Just hug them real quickly. And then go ahead and have your shins parallel to the floor. Push your knees away from you just a little bit. Go ahead and place your hands behind your head, elbows out to the side. Draw your shoulder blades together. And go ahead and just do some mini crunches by bringing your heart center up. As many as you want. Remember, if your legs are close to your chest, you're not doing as much work. When you push them away from your body, now you're exposing all of your abdominal muscles and they're all working. Do as many as you feel comfortable with. I'll count you down in a moment here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Draw your knees to your chest. Sit back. Hug your knees close. And then go ahead and place your heels on the floor, hands out to the side. Go ahead and windshield wiper blade your legs a little bit. Your hips are probably feeling a little tension. You've been working pretty hard today. Cross your right leg over your left leg and then drop them to the right. So you're using your right leg to anchor your left knee down. So you'll feel a stretch all along the front of this hip and a little bit of a spinal twist, and we'll do a real spinal twist after this. Go ahead and rise that up. Place your right foot on the floor. Take your left leg and cross it over your right leg and draw the inside of your right knee towards the floor, dropping both legs to the right. Go ahead and rise up your left knee, your right knee, I'm sorry. Place your left on the floor. Bring your knees together at your chest and drop them to the right. Tacking your left shoulder to the mat. Your left arm is extended to the left, your right arm to the right, looking out over your left shoulder. If you want to increase the stretch a little bit, you can take your right hand and pull down a little bit on that left knee. We're starting to bring our heart rate down, starting to slow down our breathing. Go ahead and bring your knees to your chest. Drop them to the right. Tacking your right shoulder to the floor, right hand out to the side. If you want to take your left hand and place it on your right knee. To extend your stretch, increase your stretch, you may do so. All right, setting up for our final resting pose of the day. If you want to take happy baby before we settle in, you can. So you reach in between your legs, grab the outside edges of your feet, and draw your feet up to the sky, drawing your thighs down to your torso. A nice stretch to your lower back. You can rock your baby. You can straighten out one leg, the left leg, and then the right leg. You can straighten out both legs if you want. Go ahead and drop down now into your final resting pose of the day. Do a scan of your body. Assess how you're feeling. From your head to your toe, assess any places where your breath might be stuck. Any places where you might be holding tension. Tell all of those parts of your body to release, to let go, to relax. You have worked hard. You've earned this time for Shavasana. To pull together all of the benefits of your practice, to calm your nervous system, to return your breathing to normal, and to turn inward. As you relax your entire body, draw your attention to Ajna, your third eye. And remember your root chakra, your Muladhara, its connection to the earth. Imagine it as a glowing red crystal right at the base of your spine. And it is further drawing you down to the earth, drawing you to the safety and the security and the strength of the ground, of the earth. And while you are resting in this Shavasana, I will go ahead and read to you about this chakra. The root chakra, or the base chakra, is your body's primordial energy center. Its focus is on the comfort and care of your physical embodiment. Your root chakra taps into your intentionality, your awareness of your physical being. Understanding who you are and how to operate your body allows you to be here in physical mastery. The ability to safely be who you are meant to be is the miracle of life on earth. When your root chakra is open, you will feel secure, safe, stable, fearless, trusting, and connected to earth, as well as to friends, family, partners, and co-workers. You can say the following root mantras at the start of each practice to open your meditation, or at the end for closure. They are also perfect for use throughout the day as positive affirmations of focused healing. Here are some mantras you can be saying to yourself right now. I trust. I am supported. I am safe to be myself. I ground down to rise up. So go ahead and continue to rest in Shavasana while I play you some gentle music. going to invite you to come back into the present moment. Start to come out of from wherever you wandered off to during that time in Shavasana. Wiggle your hands, wiggle your toes. Maybe have a full body stretch. Roll over to one side or the other. Curl into a ball. Rest for a moment. When you feel ready, using the strength of your arms, push yourself up to a seated position and join me in Sukhasana, easy seated pose. Bring your index fingers and thumb together in that Gaia Mudra as you rest your hands on your thighs. My wish for you is that this practice has helped you to get in touch with your root chakra, to remind you that you are grounded, that you are connected to this earth and to all that is around you. May you feel safe, may you feel secure. May you believe at this moment that all of your needs are met. Let's inhale our hands above. Exhale our hands down. Inhale our hands up. Exhale them down. One more inhale up. Exhale, bring your hands to Ajna, your third eye. Bring them to your heart center and bow your head. The light in me joins with the light in you. The yogi in me honors the yogi in you. Namaste. And we're done.
Danielle's still here.
Hi, Danielle. Only Danielle, the others lost their connection.
Hi, thank you, Kathleen and Scott.
Oh, thank you so much. It was nice having you.
Yeah, you guys have a great rest of your day.
You too, dear. Take care.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, I'm surprised. Well, maybe they